So, welcome to the first session of this month's Yorkshire Sales Sprint. On this session, I'm interviewing my co-host, Russell Goldthorpe. Russell is a co-founder of the Yorkshire Sales Sprint, but he's also recently appointed in a new role as Account Development Manager at Daisy Communications, which is IT and communications. And we got talking about what it's like when you take on a new role, but it's relevant for when you're in a sales environment or a business owner, about what are you going to do for the next 100 days. And we're going to just explore that, some of the priorities, some of the things that you should be thinking about or focusing on. So my advice would be, if you want to go onto the view at the top of your screen where the little button says view, and click on speaker view, it just means that you'll see Russell or I when we are talking rather than the full gallery. Okay, so let's let people in the waiting room. That's good. Okay, so Russell, let's start with asking you about the next 100 days. So we know from experience, I know from experience, that there's loads of things that people focus on when it comes to, what they should be doing first, what they should be doing next. I think sales cycles work really well, and I think you're a really experienced and organized sales professional. So in terms of the next 100 days for you, let's explore. You moved to an account management role at Daisy Communications. How long ago did you move there, Russell, and how's it going?
Mid-April I started the new role.
Okay.
Yeah.
So May, June. So we're partway through the first 100 days. How's it going?
Yeah, really well. It's a bit strange. I've not met any of my new team yet. I was interviewed on Teams. I've met everybody on Teams, so we've not actually had a catch up. So that's a bit of a weird one. But no, I've got a base of about 160 customers. So I'm just slowly working my way around those. I managed to sign a couple of reasonable deals as well. So it's kind of taking the pressure off. So it's made me realize I can do what.
Okay.
So yeah, it's good. Yeah, a real diverse mix of customers. So yeah, it's a challenging base really. It's from people with 5 or 6 products all the way up to thousands of bits of Daisy stuff. So yeah, no, it's interesting.
Okay, and what was your first priority then? Because obviously, what you just said there, I've got a couple under my belt already, takes the pressure off. What was your first priority on taking this new role then?
To kind of understand the base and understand the targets. I don't think there's anything worse than starting a role and not working backwards. So I kind of knew my numbers. Luckily, the first 3 months we kind of work around KPIs, so a number of calls, number of meetings, number of what we call contract end dates, find out information about the customers. So we had that, so it was more or less then you could work out, right, how many calls do I need to make, how many people do I need to meet, etc., and just really get a really good feel of what my base was. It's kind of a mixed area, so a little bit of the northwest and a little bit of the northeast.
Mm-hmm.
So we really just try to get my head around where everybody were and just put some feelers out. And the other thing I really did, I was very proactive. Any kind of induction training they threw me on, I did, because it's one of the things where I think the more you know about an organisation, and because obviously the induction training we're all on Teams, you're meeting people that you might not have met otherwise. So it kind of ingrains you a little bit in people's information sphere. So yeah, it's good.
Okay, it's interesting that you work backwards. It's interesting that you had a look and said, I need to look at the numbers. So, where do I need to be? And then work backwards and say, so what activity do I need to undertake? And one of the things I say to anyone who is either a sales professional or employing sales professionals or looking at doing it themselves, if they're a business owner, is you need to do it on that basis. You need to measure activity. Because if you don't measure activity, you don't know what works and what doesn't work. And getting to know your customer base takes a bit of time, but it doesn't stop you starting to get out there and engage them, I guess. So I know you've worked for a few IT companies over the years, and you've probably seen different approaches to how they onboard salespeople, account managers, and new staff, that kind of thing. What do you think a sales professional needs, or what do you think a business owner might need to think about in the early days if they're going to get off to a flyer?
I think you need to help these people to know actually how to place orders and who are the key people to support them with those orders. It's great having the product knowledge, and I've done loads and loads of product training, and it's brilliant. But if you don't actually know the next step once you've secured that deal, it can kind of kill a deal, because you're looking pretty unprofessional with the customer, going, well, I'm not really sure what the next steps are, or I'm not sure who's going to call you, or where my order's going to go, and the timescales around that. So I think actually helping people through the order process as much as this is what we sell, because I think that's a tricky thing. Once you've done the paperwork, you want to make sure that order gets processed, because most of these salespeople don't get paid until it goes live. So you want that to go live. And the last thing you want to do is have a great sales experience, and then you mislead the customer, or you don't know how the next steps are. And then it kind of, that great sales experience means you're not getting the next step to hopefully referral or repeat business.
So it's a team effort then, isn't it? Really,
yeah,
somebody else might be responsible for onboarding that customer, putting the order on, getting the delivery out there, and maybe the technical support, etc. So I think it's important that you know the sales process. And I also think, and Marianne will probably back me up on this, I'd be nodding quite a lot really. I'll be nodding and saying, look, there's a 6-step process in how you engage your customers, and the salesperson or the account manager is probably influencing 3 or 4 of those, but other people are influencing the other 2 or 3. And everybody needs to be in the same sort of boat, really. What have you seen that works well in terms of getting you up to speed? And what have you seen in previous roles, maybe, that you thought, well, I feel a bit lost, really? Is there any good and bad practices that you'd like to share?
I think Daisy are really good in terms of how they actually show you how to place an order, even though, as you said, we actually pass our order through to somebody else now. Even the paperwork gets done by e-sign, so we kind of build the deal and pass it through to somebody else. But they actually teach you how to do it if that person's not there, so you're not actually left in the lurch. You go, oh, well, I don't know how to do it now. And they're also very supportive in terms of introducing you to the teams that you're going to be working with. We have a new contact strategy where I have like 2 people that work with me. One will be on a higher level account and one on the smaller one. So you know that you've got a name contact on every account now, and that helps push that through. I think where things have fallen down is you've got product knowledge coming out of your ears, but they seem to want to keep that inside roles to themselves. And you go, well, who do I speak to about that? Or I'll sort that. Well, I kind of like to do my own legwork on that, and you build relationships then, so you can sometimes call, if you've got the relationship, which is why I did a lot of the induction training with Daisy, is you can start pulling a few strings, or you can perhaps not necessarily jump through queues, but you can actually ask for favors occasionally, because they know you. It's difficult being in this remote world where you've never met people, but they'll actually know you because you've sat on a training session with them. So yeah,
but at least you can put a name to a face and
say,
definitely.
A,
he does exist, and B, he seems like a decent guy to try and help, really. So so let's take it that you are a business owner. There's a lot of business owners on here, or you're an existing sales professional or a new starter. What do you reckon needs to be in place for a 100-day cycle? 100 days being some planning time and 3 months of activity, really, isn't it? What I call the full quarter of activity. What do you reckon are the minimum things that need to be in place for someone to think, I'm going to be successful in the next 3 months? What are the things that you do routinely, or you've seen, or that you put into practice?
I think, like you've said before, working backwards. So I know my target come July is so much revenue per month and so much upfront business per month. So I need to now know, where does that come from? But I've always structured my time around calling. It's still the thing I do most, even though people aren't really. It seems weird when my mobile rings now. It very rarely rings, the mobile phone, whereas before lockdown it did. Whereas I'm still of the opinion, if I can't get somebody on the phone, then I'll send them an email, then I'll ring them again. So since I've started, I've had three days of calling booked in every week, just to get my head around the base. So always put in there some calling time, research time around customers as well. So I'm not one of these that does 100 calls a day, because I'm ringing an existing base. So I'm doing around 30 calls a day to try and get through to these people. I'm probably having 5-6 decent calls a day, but I'm researching before that. So I'm actually putting some theory into why I'm ringing them, rather than just, I mean, it's good I can ring as an intro, but I know what they've got as a customer. So
your due diligence time for yourself is your due diligence on understanding the opportunity that may exist and understanding the conversation that you may engage with, rather than just thinking, right, I've got to do the calls. I mean, 30 calls a day would frighten the life out of some people on this sales sprint, I'm sure. But 30 calls a day to speak to 7, 8 people or 10 people and have 5 or 6 good conversations is still very much worth doing in terms of the sales cycle, because if you don't do that, where's your leads going to come from? So I like the discipline that you've got. I like the structure that you've got. I like the allocation of the time to do things, and research is separate from calling, but the two don't work independently. Because if you just pick up the phone, I hate the phrase cold calling. Used to do the phrase cold calling and pick up the phone, your chance of success are negligible at best, aren't there? Whereas if you're ringing because you've got a valid reason to ring and you've done the research as to why they may be in the market or what was the last conversation that somebody had, etc., then that's really, really important, isn't it, to give you a fighting chance of success, really. Okay.
Yeah, and I think because my first 90 days when I started at Daisy are very much around activity. It's an introduction call with a next step call booked in. So we'll do an introduction, then we'll do an account review, and then we'll go, oh, have you thought about that? Have you thought? Because the last thing I want to do as a new account manager is come in as going, I mean, my role is account development, so it is adding additional products. But from day one, if I just ring and go, right, I'm going to flog you a new hosted telephone system, they're going to go, won't speak to this guy again. So it's very much a touchy-feely kind of thing. So that's hence why you've got to have a 100-day plan.
Yeah.
So just sending emails out, the people I haven't managed to contact, it's 3 or 4 tasks just to have that conversation, because the email disappears into the ether and everybody's getting millions of emails. So it's kind of standing out. The other thing I have done quite a bit of I've done some training on video emails. I've not dared put it into practice yet, but I'm now going to start using that, because that's kind of putting my face on the email rather than the text.
Is that using? I know you're a fan of Vidyard.
Yeah, Vidyard. Yeah, I've done a few on LinkedIn where I've connected with them, but I'm going to start throwing it into my email campaigns as well, because I think that'll make me stand out. So, and the fact is, you get a text email through, I could just be anybody, and unfortunately, because of the nature of the last 12 months, a lot of these customers have had 2 or 3 account managers because people have swapped areas. So it's trying to go, right, well, hang on a second, I'm here for the long haul. So it's just.
I got a video email the other day. It just popped up, opened in my inbox. The message wasn't quite right. He asked for some feedback, actually, and I said to him, I like the approach. He was on my website and he was talking about my website performance and whatever. So he was looking at my stats, my website. There's a little picture in the corner. It was about 1.5 minutes long. And I did, but my feedback was, don't drink a carbonated drink before you record a video, because he was like going, he had some gas issues, I think was the phrase I would use. I was being polite. And he came back to me and said, yeah, I had an energy drink just before I recorded it. I said, well, you can tell. But I like the principle of it. I like it got my attention, and I watched it all the way through. Would I have listened and read his email? Probably not. So it's another way of doing it. I know you're a massive fan of using data properly. I work with sales professionals. I'm working with a client at the moment, a worldwide group, and Ruth's on the call. Ruth's new and has had a fabulous start to her sort of 3 or 4 weeks at worldwide group. She's been brilliant. But the previous guy, they had a HubSpot CRM. He said, I don't really like HubSpot, didn't use it. And you start thinking to yourself, well, so it was just carnage trying to work out half conversations. You might recorded something, you might not. And, it was just a complete nightmare. Where does CRM and data fit for you then, Russell, as a seasoned account professional?
I love it, me. I mean, the last role I had used HubSpot and I was absolutely blown away by it, because you kind of nothing. I'm of an age now where you forget stuff, Nick, and CRMs allow you to not forget stuff, because it just sends you an email to say, yeah, there you go. And you do that many things in a day, it's difficult. Daisy have a CRM, but it's more customer focused, but you can actually log calls and set tasks. So it's as basic as it can be, but they have another product, which is a Microsoft product called Power BI. And that is just unbelievable. I don't know how much that must cost, but every account I've got, I can see what products they've got. We call it white space, what they don't have. So we can see what to target that customer with. So you can do the research around how many sites have got, why don't they have hosted? If they have hosted, well, we actually have hosted with somebody else, right? So that's fine. So we can tick that box off. But
and you can think about when the renewal date is, so you can just have a conversation at the right time on that.
Yeah.
I love a bit of white. I've never come across the white space bit. I talk with account managers who are looking after existing accounts. I call it my customer product matrix, really. So you line your customers up down one side of a grid, and you line your products along the top, your key products, and you just plot them a bit like you just said there and say, right, what could they have and where are the gaps? I've got loads of customers who say to me, oh yeah, our customers take everything they can from us. And I just say, that's not true. Simply not true. And they, oh no, we've told them that we do this. We've told them we do that. I said, yeah, you might have told them, but they're not listening, because people buy from you. So let's say I bought hosting from Daisy. You would be my hosting company. I wouldn't necessarily think you could be my telecoms company, because I see you as a hosting company. And so data and analysis and gap analysis and KPI performance is essential.
And it's regular contact, that, Nick, because I had exactly the same conversation with the guy on Friday. I was on the phone nearly 45 minutes with him.
Yeah.
And he gets an Ethernet circuit, so an internet circuit from us, and his telephone system from somebody else, because he didn't realise that that's what we did. And you're kind of going, now we're looking at a hosted proposition for him in September, and you go, that's just regular contact and ticking the boxes. But as you've said, the one thing that drives me mad is when market departments want to send massive email campaigns, it might not be right at that time. So it's knowing the customer. And I think, like you've said, identify. When I had my own company, the number of times I go, oh yeah, we've just bought one of them, and you go, oh God, my branding's not working.
Yeah.
And you just think, well, we buy his mobiles from you, and that's it. And you go, well, we've got this, this, and this. So yeah, you're right, absolutely right. But having the data there is perfect.
Okay, well, that's where data analysis comes in, and CRM, and you know what, sales is a discipline, and it's also a profession. And you know, I would say that as a sales professional, but you know, a lot of people don't see it as the same as other professions or other parts of the business. You know, operationally, you can see you move stuff from A to B to C, and logistics and warehousing and accounts and all that kind of. Sales has got as much discipline, if not more, than any other, because you have to have that kind of activity level and resilience and timing. And the only way you can do that is managing your data properly. Okay, now, one of the things that gets me every time is that I see a lot of sales professionals who want to know absolutely everything and anticipate every possible scenario that may or may not occur before they'll start anything. So they'll, you know, they're on a 90-day induction, and they won't start calling or contacting or whatever until, you know, 75 days, when they've actually, I guess, demystified every aspect of what could happen. It's about risk reduction. It's about risk management, I guess. But how realistic is that? And how quickly do you need to get on with it when you decide to start a sales campaign, whether you're new to the business or whether you're a new business starting a new activity? How quickly do you need to get on with it?
I think it depends how big a departure it is, Nick. I've always been quite lucky in the fact that my sales has always been around comms, really. So I've not had to have a massive departure, but I don't know the ins and outs of telephone systems like other people do. But it doesn't stop me ringing somebody and asking the question about the telephone system, because it's what are the issues? It's the same question, no matter if they're buying widgets or if they're buying tires. What are your issues? What are your problems, etc., etc. Right, fine. Well, let me see if I can answer that, and I'll go back and find that. I love to know everything, but now I'm realizing you don't need to know everything, because I got an adage: as long as you know 1% more than the customer, you actually look like you know what you're talking about. It doesn't mean you have to be smart about anything. And again, the one thing I come across a lot of times are IT directors who try and baffle you with science, and I'll just be open and go, just explain what that means.
Yeah. I think the key there, though, Russell, is anyone can be trained to ask pertinent questions, can't they?
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're inquiring and inquisitive, and salespeople should be, and account managers should be, you know, what are you doing about? How's that working? What are the challenges that you've had? When was the last time? You know, having these kind of conversations, it doesn't mean that you're going to get found out. What if they ask you a question you don't know? Well, so what? You can go and find out. And I will use Ruth again as an example. You know, Ruth works for an organization that does large-scale multi-site events across the world, and it's, you know, a global business doing very technical broadcast and technology kind of events, live and hybrid, and, you know, across multi locations, and with a hyphen, but we've had a discussion about whether it should have a hyphen or not. And you know, Ruth's a few weeks in, but to her credit, she's picking up the phone and she's sending emails and she's engaging conversations. And you know what, she'll get found out by someone asking her a question she has no idea what the answer is to, but she'll know someone who knows the answer. You shouldn't stop and wait until you know everything, because you never will. You never will. So my advice would be get on with it and learn as you go. As long as you've got the basics to be able to ask questions, show an inquisitive nature, and at least know where you're taking that conversation based on the stuff you said earlier, then that's, you know, truly relevant, really. I want to finish this bit with a question about where we are now. We're in early June. So if we talk about the next 100 days, we're talking about kicking September, you know, right through sort of June, July, August. So what would you say to somebody? The summer months traditionally have been, for some businesses, it's, oh, well, we don't do much in the summer. And it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? So if you're not busy in the summer because you've got a seasonal kind of business where some of your customers don't buy, it's a good time to plan. But what would you be saying to people? You know, what do they need to be thinking about to maximize their performance as we come out of, potentially, I've got my fingers crossed, touching wood, you know, the last part of lockdown, and as we enter another cycle, June, July, August, ready to see where you are for the quarter kicking in September? What should people be focusing on or thinking about to be successful, Russell?
I think activity now. I think June is the month where the activity counts, because I know we've just had half term, and last week everybody went, oh, it'll be dead. I had some fantastic calls last week because people have got nowhere to go. They're working from home, so they're kind of quite happy to have a 30-minute call with somebody that's not the kids, or that they go, oh, well, I've picked and I'm ringing telephone numbers. I'm not emailing. So I'm actually getting interactions with them. So I would start now, because September will be here before we know it. And I'm away for a week in August. Lots of other people are going to be away for a week in July and August. So if you've already started planning your sales before then, brilliant. And just activity. And the thing is, people now are really willing to talk to people because it is a new interaction. And as we come out, the product we sell is kind of ripe for the new market, but it's being in front of these people when they go, do you know what, I'm back to normal now. And I think it is slowly getting there. And I think that we're talking about face-to-face meetings again, so that'll mean I'll have less time on the phone. So the more meetings I've got booked in, the better. So yeah, I think start now. Don't think, well, it's going to be a quiet month. When I had a company, July was always our busiest business because people wanted to get stuff done before they went on holiday. So it was the fact of the old adage of you get everything done on a Friday before you leave work, don't you? Because you packed and you get everything done quickly.
The other one I love September, October, November as selling quarter. You know, there's no distractions. The only half term that you've got in there are only sort of Halloween, and nobody goes anywhere, and not that we can anyway, but nobody goes anywhere in October so much, so there's not as many distractions. September, October, November are really good selling quarter months, but they don't start in September. If you start in September, you've already missed September and October, so do it now, as you say, and get ahead of the game. So thank you for that, Russ. I'm going to come off and go on to gallery view for me for the recording. By way of putting your hands up or, you know, unmuting and asking questions, anyone got any questions on that kind of discipline, approach and focus that Russell shared with us this morning? Anyone got anything they'd like to ask or add or contribute? Ruth, I've picked on you a bit this morning. Ruth, you want to unmute for me? You know, you're classic in this respect, Ruth, because you're new into a business that's a business you've never worked in before. You know, you're not sat there thinking, I'll wait till I know it all, are you? You need to unmute. I don't know whether you... Oh, we can't hear you. You are unmuted, but we can't hear you, so I don't know. Can you do it through, just do it through mine? We'll work, I don't know what's going, anyway. So Ruth settled in really well. We'll go with that. That's all we can do. Marianne, what's your view on linking the whole sales process to your customer experience then?
I was going to put something in chat, but I might as well say it to everyone now. The two big takeaways from that were research and pace the sale, pace it. You know, there are timings to this. And we talk about it a lot, don't we, Nick? The emails that we get in terms of just buy from me, when they don't even know your problem, or you're not in the market for what they do. But I think, yeah, research and pace the sale. Brilliant, Russell. Well done.
and not going too early. You can't make a false claim too early, and it smacks of desperation. I've got loads of people who can make me a multimillionaire by joining their coaching program, because that's what they say they do. I mean, I've got loads. I've probably had 3 this morning while we're on this call. And do I trust them? Probably not. I trust them as much as I trust a Nigerian prince asking for a bank account. So you've got to be careful about pace and whatever. But the one thing I'd take away from that, Russell, is discipline, focus, process. Sales doesn't happen without someone making it happen. And what I really like about your approach is, you're a seasoned account manager and you know what you're doing, but everybody should be able to do that. It's just about sitting down, having a plan, and taking the world in 90-day chunks and 100 days, because it's planning an activity, and rolling it out in manageable ways. One more question or observation from anybody? Any questions from anybody? Anyone want to unmute and ask? Okay.